Hey, hey, welcome to the After hours is after hours. You know what I mean? Is after work. And I am going to make it my business to talk more about what it is that I do, how I do it, because more people need this help. More people need this information. And instead of overthinking it, because that's what I like to do, I'm just going to get on here and talk. So, I'm going to introduce this idea that just came probably a little over 24 hours ago, which is this idea that um, all the things that I talk about at work, all the things that I do at work, they can be talked about after hours. It doesn't have to just be a business conversation. So, for those who don't know me, I am a coach and consultant, co owner of Envision Greatness, and we're in the Twin Cities where we focus on helping others achieve their goals through emotional intelligence and strategic planning. And also, I do a lot of HR work, HR consulting work, hiring, recruiting, doing all those things that are wonderful. I'm a pre licensed mental health therapist, and I infuse emotional intelligence so that we can talk about the psychoeducation piece of it, right? I mean, we have to talk about our mental health and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying all that up front. So you're like, who is this person? Where do they come from? But knowing thyself, it took me a long time to really understand how to better know myself, my thoughts, my emotions. And when I learned emotional intelligence, when I learned how to manage my emotions, when I learned how to sit with my thoughts, because I was really really anxious as a kid. Have you ever been in a place where you just knew what God had on your heart? You knew it at a young age. You knew it. You were so excited about it, but you knew you had to wait. So every single day it was like terrifying, because every single day you just had to like be present as best you could. But like as a kid, you don't know those things. You know what I mean? You don't know what it's like. You just have anxiety, you have fear, about what's happening around you, because you know what you're supposed to have in the future, but it's not here now. And I had that as a kid. And honestly, I was so excited about my future that I let things just pass by. I wouldn't say I was really living truly, but when you're a kid, you're still trying to make sense of the world. So I say that to say is that it's not really, if you don't learn it somewhere, you don't know how to manage your emotions well. You don't know how to really listen to yourself and try to understand what's going on. So a lot of what I was doing was just reacting. And I would argue that most of us just react to everything anyway. I mean, good or bad, we were just always reacting. We never just sit with it, because sitting with something is super, super uncomfortable. And sometimes those uncomfortable thoughts bring up even worse thoughts, right? Especially if you just want to check the box or be done with something. But what I mean is, like, when I think about relationships I've had in the past, accountability towards even correcting, I usually project, I usually project and make it sound like they're the problem. The whole thing is on them. I'm the victim. And for a long time, that made me feel good, to not have to take accountability for anything. For a long time, I didn't really see a need, because I'm like, I'm a good person. I I mean well, all my intentions were purest at heart. But I'm not perfect. And after a while of trying to keep up this perfectionism, trying to be goody two shoes, eventually that wall came crashing down, because it didn't feel true. It wasn't authentic. And one thing about me is that I really I think one of my core values is authenticity. At best, I can really sniff out when somebody's energy is just coming off a little too much. Granted, I do have friendship problems. My friends know this. I have an avoidance tendency to not want to be too close to people because I wasn't raised with really, really close friends. I had friends, but the deepest level of closeness to me is telling all of my deepest, darkest secrets, and I think my grandma would argue that that should just never happen, like, you shouldn't tell people your deepest, darkest secrets, but I think, like, for me, when I held them in for too much, like, it made me feel worse, so, anyway, I say that because I think my definition of closeness is really when you can tell somebody the whole thing, like the whole story, tell them what you did, tell them what happened, and like let it go. And I have that now, but I think I didn't have that and I wanted that for so long. So to me, I was like putting on a front, just trying to be what I think everybody wanted me to be, and that level of responsibility that comes in your childhood too from parents and family members and community members. So people just kind of like uphold this excitement towards your cooperation and respectability as a kid. A kid that's like 100% great listener, hard to come by, but that was me, and for better for worse, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done more rebellious quote unquote things so that I could really explore myself because it did take me a longer time to do that, but um that is the journey of a young person too. And I say that because introspection, the art of looking inward, both at your mental and emotional state, is a game changer. And again, when I was younger, I couldn't sit with any of my thoughts. Like, in fact, to sit with my thoughts about things that I would do that were not so helpful and maybe even harmful to other people, that was uncomfortable. That was extremely uncomfortable. Like I said, I would rather take the victim and be the one that I don't do anything wrong because look at all the great things that I do. You know what I mean? And um when there came a point in time, it was actually an old boyfriend of mine who was like, your stuff stinks too. You think you're really perfect, but you have stuff too. And I think through him setting his own boundaries for himself. Like when somebody sets boundaries and you have none, it seems disrespectful. Like when other family members start asserting things like, I don't do this after hours, you don't call me, I don't call you, we don't go here, I don't stay out late. Like at first it all feels insulting, right? Because you're like, dang, like where's the fun? Where's the like true closeness that we're supposed to have. When in reality, someone who does that for themselves is loving themselves more, right? I mean, they are prioritizing their health. And if you don't prioritize your health, like there's none left for you. So clearly resentment just shoots right on in, right? And I grew a lot of resentment when people had started asserting their boundaries. I just grew a lot of resentment because I'm like, why do they have it? Well, what are boundaries? And well, I have any. And I just didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they were. I didn't learn it. It wasn't really like something that I grew up knowing. And so sometimes because of those people having boundaries, it actually forced me to have to look at myself. And when I started seeing the things that were coming up in myself, it was pretty embarrassing. I think I was even embarrassed for myself. Hey, I was embarrassed for myself. I was so ashamed. I felt like I just can't be the same person anymore. Like I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I knew I couldn't be who I was. And some thoughts started unfolding, more self-discovery came. I was thinking more about myself and my yep, two vines. Yeah, that one. It's live on YouTube. It's after hours. I actually named it after hours for this reason, so that I can have a glass of wine too, because it's after hours. But I say all that because once I started to see who I who who I wanted to become, I took small steps to try to make it a reality. Small steps, because one thing we know, science is backing this. You cannot try to do everything overnight. But I could make choices. And the choices were really around boundaries, not only boundaries with other people, but boundaries with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you want to just go on and on about something that just pisses you off, I'm talking about like somebody ticked you off and like you want to sit and think about it, like really think about it. That's me. I don't know if that's a Scorpio thing. I'm not sure. But I do know when somebody gets me that upset, I will think deeply about this for so long that it's a wrap. It's I've created your death plan. Thank you. Cheers. And if I create your death plan, you cannot get a job in the same city that I'm living in. You just can't. It's just it becomes sick the way that I think. I'm not kidding. So I can't be that person. I try to stop myself now. I'm much better at it now. But back in no, like even a couple years ago, like you do anything crazy. I personally won't do anything to hurt you, but the system that I know could do all those things for you. And now that's not a right way to go, right? It's not right to a vengeful heart. That's you don't receive blessings that way. So so taking a pause on the type of person that I want to be and setting these boundaries so that I'm able to start to see more of what I'd like to change, more what's more about me and less about other people, because I'm also a giver, extreme giver. So when I give, I'm giving like everything. You got it. Like if I sign up for it, it's 110% commitment over here. But then there's like no energy on my side for myself. And then that's where you grow resentment. So when I started to look at these things, growing introspection is understanding like an event. So let's say what's a good one? What's a good one? I'm going to think about yeah, what is a good situation? Okay. Well, I know that one of the things that I constantly have to check personally for myself is the level of rapport and relationship that I want to have with other people. Like my inner circle. And my inner circle is really like a few dots. It's not like a full binding circle like this, but it is like a couple people and we kind of all get together and those are my people. But sometimes I want things more than they do. Like I want them so much. I want us to have a closer relationship. We should talk daily. We should be having crazy fun, going on trips, all those things that I want, right? But that negates the fact that it's not happening. So the old me gets ticked off when we don't spend that quality time. The 5 love languages. One of mine is quality time. And when that doesn't happen, I can get really disappointed, and I still kind of still get disappointed, but I've level set that with what the introspection is, which is why am I getting so upset about not spending time with my people? And it's because I'm putting more on them to hang out with me than I am doing hanging out with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am putting responsibility in these people's hands to take care of me, but I'm not taking care of me. That's introspection because I'm taking a mature viewpoint at seeing outside of me and considering those without any judgment. I'm considering it without any judgment. And I'm putting it back inside of me and going, there's more than one truth to this. There's more than one truth to this situation. And it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. That's another thing. When you're practicing introspection, which is self-reflection, when you're looking inward at yourself, like reviewing your day, things that you did, things that you said, you have to remove shame and judgment. One thing shame does immediately is shut it all down, stunt the growth so much so that you can't move forward. And that's where you can grow sadness, anger, frustration. And sometimes it's targeted towards you, and sometimes it's targeted outside of you to the other people that you were mad at. And you stay there. Like, that's how grudges are built. So you have to look at the other side of things. And I talk a lot about the gray area. Like, a lot in my work, I talk a lot about the gray area because it's really important that people understand that there is more than one truth to any given situation, whether we like it or not. It's not that we have to like it or not. It's just that there's more than one side to a story, right? So think about it from that perspective. When you receive something that you don't appreciate, like, you can be upset with that person. You can, like, totally fine. You hold yourself hostage towards that. You hold them hostage towards that. And it's something where if you're in the gray area, you would at least hear them out, at least understand their side of the story. Because if you can understand where a person comes from when they made that action or they said that thing, you can grow a little bit more empathy. Empathy because maybe this is coming from something from their past, right? This is maybe something that neither one of you knew would come out at this time. Like, it just happened. And that's actually the human experience, That's part of the human experience, is learning from each other about what we've been through. Like, in all actuality, all of this is lessons learned. But we don't always see it that way. We don't see it that way because we don't want to. There's probably more than that answer, but we don't like it. Our ego is so strong. Our ego is so strong that we only see things through our lens, like, on purpose. To grow empathy is a real skill. People will tell me, like, Brittany, empathy is not, like, it doesn't live over here. We don't do that here. And I hear you. I totally get it. I understand, but it's a skill. So that means that you can practice it. It's just whether or not you want to. Let's just be real about that. Whether or not you want to. So in our after hours conversation, we got to get into introspection. So I gave you an example of how I used introspection, but essentially what you need to do is you need to pause. Like, when you're in an emotional state of any kind, you can call it a logical state. But if you become firm on something, there's an emotion behind it. If you become stuck on something, it's fixated, like, this is it, end of story. That is the same thing you need to explore. You actually need to go forward and entertain it more. Entertain why you think that way. And just the other day, I did 5 whys, WHY apostrophe S, 5 whys with someone. And we talked about where their goals were coming from. Like, because, like, if you tell me I want to lose weight, why? Because I want to be healthier. Like, if you just tell me that, like, On the surface, that sounds great, but let's just say you have a hard time working on your goals. Like you're not a person that can stay consistent and disciplined with your goals. Like health, fitness. You need to really go down the 5 whys. So if you're a person that likes to lose weight because if you want to get in the gym to lose weight, to be a healthier version, why is that? Because maybe underneath it, it's because you're tired of everybody judging you from the outside, because then you're judging yourself. Okay. And then why are you judging yourself? Because it's really easy to be negative. Well, where is that negativity coming from? Well, I guess on the surface it was people, but now I hear my dad's voice yelling at me to get out of the bed, and I really couldn't eat when I was younger. I couldn't eat what I wanted. I had to stay on a strict diet, and then whenever I grew up, I just ate whatever I wanted. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere, right? The 5 whys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? And you can ask yourself, where is that coming from? Why do you think that way? But go down at least 5 times in the cycle, and you'll find out some interesting stuff about yourself. Things that you would think that you're over about, like that you're really done with, but it just keeps coming back. And it's crazy because it gets real spicy. And when you find out that you're not done with something, have the most patience for yourself. Have the most patience for yourself, because here's the thing. You can only grow as far as you allow it. And if you discipline yourself in any way, shape, or form that's stunting your growth, meaning shaming you, embarrassing you, making you feel bad. I mean, these are things we do to ourselves. That's torture. But you have to look at it and encourage yourself, like bring the most love to yourself about the situation, regardless of what it was. I mean, and honestly, and the more you mature in this, you can even have compassion for those who hurt you. And that's some deep stuff. Let me sip on that one. So that's all I'm trying to say is knowing yourself, you can unlock the deepest, darkest secrets about yourself. And you need to do that in order to grow. Now, people don't like what growth represents, I think. I think we talk about it in a very like attractive way. I think we talk about growing because we're in a society driven by goals, but we're in a society driven by habits. We focus on what we like doing the most. And anything that makes us have to do things harder and more intensely in a pattern that we're not used to, that's unattractive. But that is goal setting, just so you know, like that is what it is. And so, in turn, when you can really put in that sweat equity, and it's not like you're training all day long. Like you're not on the treadmill in your mind running through all those things in your past for 40 minutes. We're talking about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes if you have a writing prompt. Or maybe you're driving in your car. Like I do a lot of introspection in the car. Like there's something magical about being in my car in the motion. Like I'm already headed towards growth in my mind, even if it's just a destination, like I'm going to the gas station. I do that. That's what I'll do. And then once I do that, I accept whatever comes. Like I accept it. I accept the truth that comes, whatever comes to my mind. And these are things that you have to tune in to your brain. Like you have to tune into your mind. You have to tap out of all of the distractions, your phone, sometimes even music. Like unless it's meditation music or something without like people talking, singing, vocal, you need to tune out of the most distractions possible to listen, to really listen. And when you get the answer, just accept whatever answer that is. I mean, sometimes the answer you get, you won't like. Like, let's just be real. Some of the things that you hear internally about yourself, you won't like, but you're not meant to judge it. You're not meant to think negatively upon it. You're meant to just take it in for what it is. That's introspection. The moment that you judge it, throw it away, like, just so you know, like, it's gonna apply in every aspect of your life. If you think that in the moment that you're trying to grow, like, fitness goals is really simple. I mean, it's complicated, but it's simple in this example. You can say, I want to lose weight, but what if a lot of the reason you can't lose weight is because you have a lot of emotional baggage, trauma? Explain that. So you have to work through both. You know what I mean? You have to look inward. You have to talk to yourself and you got to be kind to yourself and you got to be like, look, I am sorry. Like take yourself out of it for a little bit and just be like the older, more mature, emotionally mature version of you to help yourself get through that experience. And I learned the hand over heart meditation, which really works. If you're in a place where something pops up that's super painful, put your hand over your heart, hold it there. Do some deep breathing. None of this, you're not in a rush. But the thing is, if you don't deal with it now, it will continue to deal with you. There's things that are eating you up that maybe you don't realize. It's stunting your growth because you're not taking the time to really reevaluate it and see how to work through it. Because once you get through something means that you accept it. But the way in which you accept something is not by nature of like, yeah, I know what it is. I'm good with it. Like, it's not that at all. Accepting something means that it's a part of you and you feel better with it only because of what it taught you. So again, it's not like I know that dark closet in the corner has a bunch of my family secrets in there. I've got some in there. I'm good with it. What is it teaching you? That's the real question. And when the lesson has been taught and you've learned it, then it doesn't even become something that you even have to acknowledge. It's just part of you. And then what's really funny, I mean, I think life is funny sometimes, but what's funny is like something new will come. Something new will come. Like another problem out of nowhere will come. And it'll be another introspective moment. Like it's just one after another. And I truly believe that is what healing is. I think an aspect of healing is acknowledging the ideas and the patterns and the actions that have taken place before you to help you understand who you truly are. Not right, not wrong. It's kind of gray. It's like you could look at this one way or you could look at it the other way. You could see the growth in it and you can also see how it held you back in an area because you weren't able to see it right away. That's all I'm saying. So I'm inviting you to know thyself on a deeper level. Get to know who you are by asking yourself questions. And the questions you can ask is, again, let's reflect on this situation that happened today. You wanted to cuss somebody out. Every time you see them, you want to cuss them out, wring their neck. Why? They bother you. They irritate you. Why? The things that they do are just stupid. Why are they stupid? Well, because in my mind, it's supposed to go like this. Why is it supposed to go like that? Because that's all I know. Why is that all you know? Because I've never wanted to learn anything new. Is that person now teaching you something you didn't know before? That's not magic. That's taking any situation without judgment and being like, you know what? I could see why this is happening the way it is. It's meant to break up a pattern of negativity, a pattern that didn't break. And what's funny is what you're doing over here, you can't run from it. It shows up everywhere. So you think that this is just a work-related issue? Honey, this is at home, sleeping in your bed with you. And when you're not there sleeping in your bed, it's at your kids' ballet recital, something. You know what I mean? It's just everywhere. I mean, you got to think about the way that you are, how you became the way you came. Like, there's a reason for it all. These are all patterns over time that we've adapted. So the more that you explore it, the more you can actually accept it and release it. And then that's the victory that you get to share with others, because the only reason I'm getting up here after hours is to talk about this so that you know it's possible. You can heal from anything that you've gone through. I mean, the worst. And I know some of you have the worst stories to tell. I get it. I don't can't offer anything else other than an invitation, you know? An invitation to explore, because that's what life is. It's a journey. It's an adventure. And so I am offering that to you. So you will see me at another after hours talk, because I'm going to be doing a little bit more of these. And they're really just meant for me to just talk about whatever comes to mind. So if you are watching this or listening to this, and because I have the Envision Greatness podcast available on all podcasting platforms, but if you are interested in this and want to ask more questions, want to understand more deeper reflection on where you're at or about a situation, I can give that to you. No problem. This is what I do, literally. And I really enjoy it. The more people that can feel set free or let go of the things that they were holding on to, I mean, that is a win, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing in the after hours. That's what you can anticipate, is just conversation. You can come up on here and we can just talk, um because that's just what we need, right? That's just what we need. So I am going to log off. But for more information about Envision Greatness, like if you work for a company, you want to have me come speak, I have several trainings that you can see on my website. You can also look into our consulting work that we do. www.envisiongreatness.org. That's ENVISIONGREATNESS.org. And you won't see me do a lot of promo on after hours, really. But this is when people get curious about where I am, what I do, where I'm coming from, because you need it. And yes, we do this at work. Like, you got the after hours, like lazy bun, glass of wine. But let me tell you, I'll be stepping in my suits now. So bring me to your city. That's all I'm saying. Okay. After hours. Peace.